Hi, Iron Butterflies. It's my privilege to introduce you again to Dr. Judy Loredo of Austin, Texas. And she did an interview with us a few weeks ago, and this is her second in a series of interviews. And Dr. Judy, thank you so much for inviting us into your beautiful home again. If you would, in case people didn't listen to the first interview, would you just give us a little bit of a background about your education?
I have a bachelor's in the science of communication disorders and a master's in speech pathology and a master's in education, and I have a doctorate in philosophy. I was trained to be a school superintendent. I spent 17 years in public education all the way through the superintendency, and the rest of my career has been in higher education.
And so last time you talked a lot about higher education and getting students ready for college, and we'll go into maybe that a little bit more in the third interview. But today I thought we would talk about learning differences, because you shared with our audience last time that you struggled in school and you flew forward as an iron butterfly that you were. And so today I thought we would talk a little bit about how parents can recognize learning differences in their children and what they can do about it.
The time when I was growing up, we didn't really have special services in schools. And I went to a little private church school that was run by the Divine Providence nuns. And so, nuns tend to help you. And they don't fail you as easily, I think. But I found out, or my parents found out, that by the time I was in third grade, I was a non-reader. How I made it to third grade without them realizing, I don't know. But I quite recall the day that they told my mother they would have to fail me and I wouldn't pass to fourth grade. And my mother said, contraire, she's not failing any grade. My mother was not a teacher, but she was an avid reader. And she said, I will teach her this summer, and then you can retest her so she can go on and not fail. So she took me to the library, and I read every book on the shelf in the children's section. And what I became was the best sight reader. I could recognize any word. I don't care what you put in front of me, but I did not read words for comprehension, for application, for evaluation. I did not go through what is truly known as a reading process. I made it all the way through elementary school. I did not fail fourth grade, or for third grade really. I went on that next year, went on through high school and made A's in English. And it wasn't until I got to college with redhead Miss McChrystal, who put more red ink on my paper with the black ink, because I really wasn't writing well. My grammar was not good. My written grammar was not good. And it really showed that my reading skills were still very weak.
And this was in college?
This was at the junior college, San Antonio Junior College. This is where I went immediately from high school, because I could not go to a college of choice because I had only made a 14 on my SAT, which is absolutely deplorable. But when you think of a standardized test, it is a reading process. It's a reading comprehension process to be able to decipher and make choices on answers based on that knowledge base or the question that's being posed. And because I had such an issue in terms of reading, I just did poorly. And so I went to the community college. I was accepted to Our Lady of the Lake University in San Antonio on probation, but I wasn't going anywhere on probation. So I went to the community college, and that's where I hit the brick wall with English. And then, of course, you're taking biology, you're taking government, you're taking history, and all of those are reading courses. And I really struggled.
So did you take fewer hours each semester, or how did you manage that?
No, I completed the community college 66 hours in 2 years. But I went the very first summer coming out of high school, I went and took psychology, a deep reading course. I had to study. I thought I was taking physics. It was so difficult. I made a B in that class, but it did not come easy. I would have to write. I'd have to repeat everything I was reading. I had to find words and paragraphs that would give me some cues. I didn't have any basis. I had not really been taught how to study in order to retain the information, nor at that point did I really understand how I was best as a learner. You know, what could I do so that information would stay in my brain and I could retain it to then be able to go back into class and remember what I had read. Because I was having a difficult time remembering what I'd read because I really wasn't understanding it.
So did you teach yourself how to do that, or you think the instructors at San Antonio College helped you with that, or what?
No, I didn't have any instructor that helped me. And, you know, I just myself decided that listening wasn't helping and just reading definitely was not helping. So that maybe what I needed to do was to not only read it, but then write my thoughts about what I had read. And at the same time, what I did acquire was a skill of speaking. And that happened very early in my life. My father was a very skilled public speaker and had occasion many times in the Hispanic community to be asked to be MCs, to speak. He was an attorney by profession. And so he told me one day that someday I might be asked to come up to a podium and speak, and I needed to sound intelligent and I needed to sound educated. And so he taught me how to get up to a podium and how to speak. And I recalled at that point that when I would speak and hear myself speak, because you get automatic feedback when you're speaking, and so I thought maybe if I start recording people, then this way I can go back and listen to what they said, and if I've got my book in front of me, then maybe I can make a connection to what they've said and to what I'm having to read so that I could better understand it. So I started using a tape recorder at a time when it was not fashionable. And I had to ask professors, do you mind if I record this? Because I don't remember, you know, I have a difficult time. I just was very lucky to have professors that allowed me to record them. Some professors will not. And so I just was blessed. And that's how I began to realize that if I recorded what I heard, or even if I recorded what I wanted to say in a written paper, it came out better than when I would just sit there and just start writing, because it didn't seem to process in my brain as easily. But once I could hear it, once I saw the spoken word in print, I could do anything with it.
So what advice would you give parents who are watching their children struggle in school?
I think I would probably sit with them. I would recommend that, for example, if they came home one night with an assignment, if it was a reading assignment, a history, or whatever it was, to sit down with them and say, you know, how do you learn that? You know, how do you do as a student? What are you doing to try to learn that information and to keep it in your little brain? And students tell you what they're doing. They can also tell you, because even when I've spoken to students, I've said to many students that I've had occasion to speak to, I bet you sit down sometimes and you don't remember a thing you've read, and it's amazing. You'll see the little heads shaking. Or what's it like when you've spent hours studying and you go to class and you still don't remember what you read, and it's time to take a test and you barely can get a D on the test? Does that ever happen to you? And you see their little heads shaking. And so I think that if parents observe how their students study, how they take in information, you can tell when you're even talking to your own kids whether they're more visual, when they're trying to listen to you, or you are showing them something, or can you say something to your child one time and they remember it. I was not an auditory learner, and when I was in school, in my primary years, everyone learned the same way. We learned reading phonetically. There was no difference. Well, there is a difference in learning styles, and we don't all learn the same way.
Thank you so much for your time today. We're going to pick this up and we're going to expand on it in the next series. But thank you so much, Dr. Judy. We are so grateful that you invited us into your home, and we appreciate you teaching us how to fly forward together.
My pleasure. Anytime.